A year ago today, my friend Andy died. Now, it wasn't really today. It was a while ago. It was at the time this video comes out, it would have been maybe 3 days ago. Would have been a year since Andy died. If you hear any background noise, it's because there's currently a party going on upstairs. And I came down here to record because I'm recording the day before this is supposed to come out, and I wanted to get this back out, and I had the time. And it's not really my party; it's my wife is having a bunch of people over, and so I could sneak away. About a year ago, my friend Andy died, and this is going to be kind of me processing that out and me just kind of telling the story of how Andy affected my life. And it all kind of started when I went to my acupuncturist today, and I suddenly, so the anniversary of his death was on Monday, and I have youth group on Monday. So Monday was really, really tight, really difficult to, I couldn't even process out anything. But so when this comes out Wednesday, this is Tuesday. Today, which is Tuesday when I'm recording, I had some time. I was cleaning from youth ministry. I was cleaning from just a bunch of stuff. I had some doctor's appointments, and I went to my acupuncturist. And at the acupuncturist, we kind of chatted about stuff, and I felt my anxiety just start building. And then he put all the pins in, and I all of a sudden just was like, I gotta go. I gotta get out of here. So I asked the Zaya, who's my acupuncturist, to come in, and he pulled the pins. And Zaya's just a boss. He's incredible, and I don't know why my anxiety spiked then. And he mentioned within Chinese medicine, like, the lungs tend to be a place of where mourning happens, and like can release a lot of emotional tension. And you can say what you want about it, but I left and was like, I felt like a boy. I felt like a really small boy. And I was trying to figure out why I felt like this massive amount of anxiety and like sadness. And I called my wife on the way back to church, and when she picked up the phone, I just started crying. And I didn't know quite the reason why. And I kind of mentioned to Zaya, my acupuncturist, like some of the thing, like the fact that it was a year ago that Andy died. And as I kept processing it, I really feel like it was finally, like, my body kept, like, grief is a weird thing. I know a lot of you guys have dealt with grief. This is probably, Andy's death was probably one of the more severe, like, deaths I've had to deal with. One of the closer deaths I've had to deal with. Let me tell you a little about who Andy is. Andy was the worship pastor at my church, at Southside Christian Church, and he got colon cancer, and he fought colon cancer for a long time before succumbing to it about a year ago. And he had stage 4 and had fought it for, I think, 3 years maybe. And this is the thing about Andy, was I'm the oldest of two. There's me and Logan, and you guys, if you see us on Twitch every other Monday, We play scary games together, and it's just a blast. But I never expected to have an older brother. As the oldest brother, the oldest sibling, I didn't need or thought I needed an older brother. There's kind of a level of pride there, I guess. But Andy became that. He like forced his way into my life to be the older brother I didn't know I needed. He was a man who challenged me, who encouraged me, who joked with me. As the scriptures say, as iron sharpens iron, so one man sharpens another. And that was Andy. I could be his shield bearer, is a terminology that we threw around a lot. A shield bearer is somebody who you can rely on, who's got your back, who can, as he was the worship pastor, I'm a drummer, and Andy and I, if Andy wrote a song, I was able to be one of the guys that he would throw it to get his opinions on. And even if he wrote a song and was going to perform it and there was no practice, I was his drummer for it. And so his passing was like losing my oldest brother. It would be like if Logan died. And that was hard. He and I got to have a lot of, I was the person, and I think he did this with a few people, but I know for me, the fact that he just talked about, like, on his last year, we had some really tough conversations about him, like, wrestling with death. And I, like, what that meant to him, what that struggle was of accepting death as the inevitable approached. And there are many times when I had to step down from drumming for a while from worship team after his passing because I couldn't handle it. I couldn't do it without him. It was too close. Because as a band, as a team, especially when you're worshiping God, there is this level of intimacy that you get amongst the worship team members of this family. And Andy was definitely the glue that brought a lot of us together on the worship team. As I'm processing it out, I'm not sure really where to go with this story for this week's story time, other than that, like, I was crying today because I was missing him, and mourning is difficult. And mourning comes when you least expect it. And sometimes I mourn the loss of my older brother. Sometimes I mourn for my sister. She's not my, blood relative sister, but Andy's wife and kids. Like, she's become one of our closest friends, and I mourn for her on her behalf. Not that she doesn't mourn, I mean, whatever, you know what I mean. I'm not gonna overthink it. I miss Andy. I miss having that guy that I can rely on. I miss having that go-to. I miss playing worship with him. I miss trying to make things awesome with him. I miss teaming up with him. I miss hanging out with him. I guess what I'm saying is, if you're mourning, you're not doing it alone. We've all been there. Some of us are still there.